Now, we've all seen those programmes on TV featuring two rather bossy women who come into your home, pick over your clutter and tell you you have to get rid of it. Well, guess what? It's happening in museums as well because, like the rest of us, they have too much stuff. Madeline Holt has been finding out something has to go.
It's never been easy for museums finding space for more and more stuff.
I talked about the museum's problem to Lord Radcliffe, chairman of its trustees. Lord Radcliffe, how serious is this problem that the British Museum faces?
It's become very serious because it's been allowed to build up over a long period of time when virtually nothing has been done to provide our urgent demand for more space. Behind the scenes is the lack of proper working space and conditions for our own staff.
But if space was cramped back in the 60s, it's a whole lot worse now. The Sussex town of Horsham has a beautiful but bijou museum. It gets offered around 800 new objects a year. That's on top of an already bulging collection. At one point, a third of the museum was taken up with objects no one dared put on display. But no more.
We're now coming on to look at disposals.
Because the man in charge at Horsham is a pioneering clutterbusterer of the past. Today, Jeremy Knight is trying to convince his trustees to sell a couple of vast Victorian pictures that have no link with the town and spend the money restoring objects that do.
They're so large and we can't store them anywhere, it doesn't seem to make any sense. And let's face it, we could do with the money, couldn't we?
And you could offer us up for sale next, Jeremy, as well.
What's a good idea?
He hasn't thought about it.
When it comes to rationalising his collection, Jeremy is on a roll.
So what is your take on museums getting rid of things?
Well, museums have to. In order to move forward, they cannot keep everything that they've been given. This is a map, tithe map. It was originally in something like 25 parts. We actually had a large collection of birds. Some of them were actually recorded as being twitching because of the amount of mites in them. They were all stored in an attic store, never seen by the public. No museum wanted them, so we decided we would actually put them into auction. And in total, we made over £980. With that, we could actually conserve this tithe map. Shelley was the most important person born from Horsham. We had nothing on him when I first came. By disposing of items which are irrelevant, we've managed to build up one of the largest collections of Shelley material in the country, and it's used internationally by scholars as well as local pupils and children.
To Jeremy, less is always more. He's turned 6 cluttered-up storerooms into 6 new galleries.
By creating new galleries, we create new stories which involve more people in, get more public in, get more involved in the past, and they get more excited about it, because that's part of our job. And I take the view that objects actually have to work and earn their living by making it relevant to the people and showing the people the past through those objects.
He's not the only one who thinks disposal, to use the museum term, is now a priority.
I often visit museums and go and see their stores and their kind of what is sometimes called their reserve or research collections, and I do find myself wondering quite if they're ever going to find a use for lots of this stuff, because some museums have enormous and fantastic collections and they're clearly doing all sorts of brilliant work at the front end with all sorts of audiences and still perhaps only using a small proportion of their collection.
But the process can be controversial. Southampton City Council has put on hold plans to sell a Rodin sculpture to fund a museum about the Titanic after an outcry locally and within the art world.
I think museums have been quite frightened of disposal and of the reaction to it, both from other museums and from the public and media more widely. But I think the lesson is really that the more open you are and the more transparent, the better it is.
The trouble is, museum folk are hoarders. There is nothing they like better than acquiring as many objects as possible and becoming their custodians forever.
I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough.
So getting rid of anything is antithetical to their whole mindset. Perhaps it really is time to change.
And I just can't see to get enough.
We brought Jeremy Knight to Leicester.
Jane, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
One of the city's curators had bravely agreed to let him look around their huge store. This is just one of 5 stores across Leicester, covering 7 museums. Like most places, 90% of the collections are out of public view. The city has signed up to getting rid of stuff, but with 2 million items all up, it's only tackled the tip of the iceberg. Time for Jeremy to move in.
Lace bobbins.
Lace bobbins, yeah.
Through that way.
Yeah. No, did you want the white gloves?
Yeah. We've got about half a rack of something called lace bobbins.
Are they fantastic? How many do you have?
Interesting question. The main record says a collection of several thousand lace bobbins, and oddly enough, I've never counted them.
But do you actually need several thousand lace bobbins?
Well, they're not exactly over-demanding in the amount of space that they take, and the fact that they are one collection, or these 2 collections kind of inherited,
but
gives them enormous interest. Anyway, I like them. That's not the official reason for keeping them, but it keeps me happy.
Yeah.
And I deserve to be happy.
Thank you.
May I show you something else?
Thank you.
So, Jeremy, here we are. We brought you to Leicester. I mean, the immediate thing that strikes one is that they do here have the storage. So why on earth would you not want to keep hold of what you've got?
But the reality is storage actually does cost money. It's all very well keeping it in store, but is it a realistic expectation and sustainable in the current climate of environmental issues to actually heat, light this sort of building, which costs a fortune in carbon imprint? For what? For items which no one's ever going to look at?
I think you do need to have a very good reason for getting rid of things. I have so often looked at museum records, and we got rid of things in the past that I would kill to have now.
Isn't this, in a way, all about control?
Yeah, that's a point, and I suppose in terms of our collections, museum curators do tend to go, it's mine.
Leicester, though, like every other museum, must adapt to the times, albeit slowly. It took 150 years to build up their collection. They reckon it'll take them another 100 years to get rid of all the things they don't need.
Madeleine Hall reporting there.